Bienvenidos estudiantes a la clase de Español 1, capítulo 11, lección 28b. We're going to start off today with our homework review, where we will review our preterite conjugations that you did for homework last time. We'll review in our lesson today our verse, 1 Corinthians 15:3b. We'll review a little bit about Peru, some food in Hispanic countries. We'll talk about our vowel pronunciation. We'll look again at our ATE and our AR cognates. And then today we'll talk about our IR preterite stem changers. So let's get started and get right into today's lesson with our homework check. If you would go ahead and take a look at your homework, make sure you have the correct answers here. Again, as always, if you have any corrections, mark them in red. That way you can ask questions if you have them so that you know why you missed what you missed. We're looking at lección 28 en el cuaderno, página 205 a 6, 1, A, B y C. Número 1, actividad 1, el repaso, las formas del pretérito, the forms of the preterite. Write the correct form of the verb in the preterite. Número 1, yo comí. That is the yo form of the verb comer. Una banana y Elsa comió una pera. I ate a banana and Elsa ate a pear. Número 3. Yo viví en Cusco en 1985 y Miguel vivió en Lima el mismo año. I lived in Cusco in 1985 and Miguel lived in Lima the same year. Número 5. Francisco perdió las llaves del carro de su papá, pero tú perdiste el dinero que te dio. Francisco lost the keys of his dad's car, but you lost the money that he gave you. Número 7. Mis padres fueron a un restaurante chino anoche. My parents went to a Chinese restaurant last night. Mis hermanos y yo fuimos a una pizzería. My brothers and I went to a pizzeria. Those are both forms of the verb ir. You can tell that because after the verb ir we see a, which tells us that that's the verb ir and not the verb ser. Número 9. Nosotros comimos pastel en la fiesta, pero Mateo y Tito solo comieron helado. We ate cake at the party, but Matthew and Titus only ate ice cream. And then the last one, 11. Evangelina tocó el piano para el dúo. Evangeline played the piano for the duet. Notice the accent over the O, the second O, tocó. It's not toco, that would be I play. It's tocó, tocó, which is she played. Yo lo toqué para el coro. I played it for the choir. Notice there how the CAR had to change to QUE in order to keep that k sound of the infinitive. Yo lo toqué. I played it. The lo there is it, referring to piano. Lo, masculine singular. Ejercicio B. Preguntas, questions. ¿Cuándo conociste por primera vez a tu mejor amigo? When did you meet for the first time your best friend? When did you meet your best friend for the first time? You could say conocí, and then you could say a year. Conocí en 210 or 2010, 2010. Whatever, you can say whenever. You would probably have a time period there. Número 3. ¿Quién te vendió el libro de español? Who sold you the Spanish book? Nadie me lo vendió. No one sold it to me. Número 5. ¿Quién te contó la primera historia de la Biblia? Who told you the first story from the Bible? Mis padres me contaron la primera historia de la Biblia. My parents told me the first story from the Bible. Actividad C, número 1. ¿Caminaste a la escuela esta mañana? Did you walk to school this morning? Yo caminé a la escuela esta mañana. Or you could make it negative. No caminé a la escuela esta mañana. I did not walk to school this morning. Número 3. ¿Trabajaste o jugaste el sábado? Did you work or did you play Saturday? Trabajé el sábado. I worked Saturday. Or jugué el sábado. I played Saturday. Now be careful. If you use jugué, make sure that that G-U-E keeps the g sound. Instead of jugué, it needs to be jugué. Número 5. ¿Volvieron ustedes a la escuela el domingo pasado? Did you all go to school last Sunday? No. No volvimos a la escuela el domingo pasado. No, we did not go to school last Sunday. So there's your homework. Let's do a little quick review of the country of Peru. We've been talking about Peru in página 231 en el libro, page 231 in your textbook. The country of Peru is divided really into three very specific regions. We have La Costa, those are the coastal plains along the Pacific Ocean. Las Montañas, that's the area of the country in the Andes Mountains. And La Selva, that's the region of the country. So those three very specific regions of the countries. As far as makeup of the country, about 45% of the population of Peru is Indian. So that is the largest representation of the population there in Peru. About 15% are whites and about 37% mestizos, and those are mainly, they live in the urban areas or the cities. Lima is the capital and the largest city, and if you haven't taken time yet to watch the top 10 list of reasons to visit Peru, I wish you'd take time to look at that. I think you'd enjoy that, give you some great information about the country of Peru. Make sure that you know this information here on page 231 because you will be asked about that later on. Our verse for this lesson is Primera de Corintios 15:3b, 1 Corinthians 15:3b. Cristo murió por nuestros pecados conforme a las Escrituras. Primera de Corintios 15:3b. Christ died for our sins. And there's our verb, murió, in the preterite. Christ died for our sins, conforme a las Escrituras, according to the scriptures. Let's see if we can do some missing words here. ¿Cuál palabra nos falta aquí, clase? La respuesta es pecados. Sin, pecados. ¿Y aquí? ¿Cuál palabra nos falta aquí? La respuesta es escrituras, scriptures, escrituras. Y aquí, número 3, ¿cuál palabra nos falta? La respuesta es murió. Died, murió. Y la próxima, número 4, ¿cuál palabra nos falta? La respuesta es conforme, according, conforme. Número 5, la última. ¿Cuál palabra nos falta aquí, clase? La respuesta es por, for, por. Make sure that you're reviewing that verse each night so that you're ready for that. We've been talking about our vowels, las vocales, in this lesson. Make sure that you remember that in Spanish, our vowels are pure sounds. A, e, I, o, u. These are not diphthongs like we would hear in English. A. No, that's not right. It's e. So we have a, e, I, o, u. They're clipped. They're much shorter. There are words there for you to practice on the screen, but make sure that your vowels are very short and clipped. They're called pure vowels because there's no movement of sound in the Spanish vowels. Cognados, we've been talking about different word forms that we can recognize in English and Spanish. Words that typically end in ate in English will end in ar in Spanish, and they'll form the verb. So we have words like obligate, which would be what in Spanish? Obligar. Words like predominate or predominate would be predominar. Imitate would be imitar. You just change that ate to an ar and you have the verb form there ready to go. We talked a little bit about food in Hispanic countries. We talked about the typical dish, el arroz y los frijoles, which most Hispanic countries will have beans and rice as a staple of their meals. We talked about Mexico and how the tortilla, corn or flour tortilla, is a staple of many plates, is the basis of many dishes, tacos, enchiladas, tostadas. Mexican food tends to be a little bit more picante, more spicy than other countries where their food is not as spicy. In Peru, they'll eat a lot of potatoes, papas blancas, papas amarillas, different colored potatoes are a very popular food in Peru. And in Argentina, we see a lot of consumption of beef, carne de res. Argentina produces a lot of cattle. It is a very important industry in Argentina. And so, of course, there's a lot more beef eaten in Argentina. In the Caribbean, that would be like Cuba, Puerto Rico, La República Dominicana. Arroz y habichuelas y carne, rice and meat and beans is a very typical dish in a lot of the Caribbean countries. And they'll, of course, eat a lot of those tropical fruits as well. Toronja, naranja, limon, mango, banana, papaya, sugarcane. Those are typical foods as well. So make sure that you're looking over La Comida en los Países Hispanos and be ready to answer possibly a few questions over that information as well. And then we had the dialogue, the little reading between Juan and Pepe, and they were talking about their friend that they took to dinner who was El Comilón. Do you remember what El Comilón was? Comilón is a greedy person who eats a lot of food, like we might even say a glutton, somebody that just overeats all the time. As you've listened through to that dialogue, I hope that you're able to answer a lot of these conversación questions. ¿A quién invitó Juan al restaurante? Whom did John invite to the restaurant? These are questions that you should be able to identify. You should be able to find the answers to these as you look through that dialogue between those two friends. So look through it, dig in, and try and find some of those answers. Let's quickly review our grammar. This is what we did with our homework from today. Hablar, the verb hablar, which means to speak. The regular preterite forms are hablé, hablaste, habló, hablamos, and hablaron. For comer, comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comieron. Notice how we get the accent for comí, comió. Those are the only two accented forms. For vivir, to live, viví, viviste, vivió, I-O, and I-O here as well. So make sure that you are getting the right vowels in there. Vivió, he lived. Vivimos, we lived. Vivieron, they lived, or you all lived. Remember that AR and ER verbs that have a stem change in the present tense don't get that stem change in the preterite tense. So pensar, which would be a stem changer, pienso, does not get that stem change in the preterite. Pensé, that stem change disappears. That's for AR and ER verbs. Encontrar, which would typically be an O to UE stem changer, does not get that stem change. Encontraron, no stem change there in the preterite. And the same thing for perder, to lose, and volver, to return. We looked at our shoe verbs. Remember, we talked about these verbs that have the stem change that are IR verbs. Pedir, to order, to request, to ask for something. Notice we have that E to I stem change for pedir in the yo form, the tu form, the usted form, and the ustedes form. All four of these forms get that stem change. All right. It still has a stem change in the preterite tense, but it's not the same stem change. Okay, notice the third person singular, pidió, and the third person plural, pidieron. So for pedir, to request or to ask for, yo pedí, I requested. Tú pediste, you requested. And then here comes the stem change. Usted pidió, or él pidió. Mario pidió. Mario asked for or requested. And then for sentir, to feel, sentir is an E to IE stem changer in the present tense, and you can see that those patterns of stem changes carry all the way through for the yo form, the tu form, the usted, el, ella form, the ustedes, ellos, ellas form. So we see that E to I stem change in all of those forms. However, that stem change does not occur the same way in the preterite tense. Notice no stem change here for the yo form in the preterite. Sentí. No, not in the tu form either, sentiste, but we do see that stem change in the third person, singular and plural, sintió and sintieron. But notice it is not the E to IE stem change, it's just in the preterite, the E to I stem change. And again, remember, this is just for our IR verbs that get that stem change. Same thing for dormir, to sleep. O to UE stem change in the present tense. Duermo, duermes, duerme, dormimos, no stem change in the nosotros form. And then duermen. So we see that shoe verb. So it's all of these forms that get that stem change. But then again, remember, because it's an IR stem changer, it only gets the first letter of the stem change in the preterite usted and ustedes form. Durmió, he slept. Ellos durmieron, they slept. Okay. So make sure that you remember other verbs that work that same way, and those are there in your book as well. Servir works that way. to serve, repetir, to repeat, preferir, to prefer, and morir, to die. And notice your book points out it would only be the el and the ellos forms of those two verbs that would get that change in the preterite form. The yo form, the tu form, the nosotros form, they don't get that stem change. But the el and the ellos form do get that stem change in the preterite. So servir, to serve, if I wanted to say he served in the preterite tense, it would be él, what would it be? Sirvió. See how it gets that I, just the I stem change, sirvió in the él form. That would be the same thing for the ellos form. Remember the accent mark. Él sirvió. So repetir would be él repitió. Repitió. Preferir, él prefirió. And morir, él murió. Just the first letter of the stem change. It's not an O to UE stem change in the third person preterite. It's just an O to U. So let's practice these just a little bit here. Actividad 3 en el libro. Los estudiantes llegaron a la clase con sueño. The students arrived to class tired. ¿A qué hora se durmieron la noche anterior? At what time did they go to sleep last night? Look at the modelo. Rafael, and then we have 10:30. So we would say, Rafael se durmió a las 10:30. Rafael fell asleep at 10:30. Notice how we use the reflexive there. Se durmió means to fall asleep. Dormirse, with the reflexive pronoun, is to fall asleep. Dormir by itself is to sleep. So those are a little bit different words. That's why we had to use the reflexive pronoun here. Se durmió. He fell asleep at 10:30. I'd like you to do the odds here. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, y 9. Do that in a space in your workbook or on your own paper, and then we'll come back together in just a moment and we'll check your answers. Okay, I hope those went well for you. Let's go ahead and check your answers and see how you did. Número 1. Roberto y Pedro se durmieron hasta las 11:15. Roberto and Pedro fell asleep until 11:15 or at 11:15. Número 3. Tú te dormiste a las 10:15. You fell asleep at 10 minus quarter, which would be 9:45. 10:15. Número 5. Nosotras nos dormimos a las 10:10. We fell asleep at 10 minus 10, which would be 9:50. Número 7. Elena se durmió a las 12:15. Elena fell asleep at 12 minus quarter, which would be 11:45. Y número 9. Usted se durmió a la medianoche. You fell asleep at midnight. And I'm looking back at número 7 there, and that should have been here in número 7. It shouldn't have been 12 menos cuarto. That should have been 9 menos cuarto. That would be 8:45. 9 menos cuarto would be 9 minus quarter, which would then give us 8:45. Okay? Make any corrections in red. That way you can check with me to find out why you missed what you missed. Actividad 4. Los estudiantes de la clase de español fueron a un restaurante mexicano. The students in Spanish class went to a Mexican restaurant. Diga que pidieron los estudiantes. Tell, and there's a command form, diga, tell, que pidieron los estudiantes, what the students ordered. Look at the modelo. Manuel, tacos. So we want to say Manuel ordered tacos. Manuel pidió tacos. Manuel ordered tacos. So do número 1, 3, 5, y 7. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 on some scratch paper or in a blank spot in your workbook, and then we'll come back together and check those. So pause the video, do that exercise, and then we'll check it. I hope that went well for you. Let's take a look at it and see how you did. Click on our answers here. Número 1. Susana pidió una chimichanga. Susana ordered a chimichanga. Número 3. María y Ana pidieron 2 chalupas. María and Ana requested or ordered 2 chalupas. Número 5, yo pedí un burrito. I ordered a burrito. Número 7, Tomás pidió un burrito y 2 tacos. Tomás ordered a burrito and 2 tacos. Again, mark your corrections in red. That way you know why you missed what you missed. And we can talk about that later. All right? Let's look at actividad 5. Actividad 5, change the verbs from the present to the preterite. This should be a relatively simple exercise for you. You are just going to take the verbs, which means you need to identify the verbs first of all, then change them to the preterite tense here in this activity. Número 1. Our verb is duermo. So you are just going to change that verb duermo to the preterite form. Let's think through. What is the infinitive for the verb duermo? That would be, got to roll that stem change back, dormir, to sleep. Dormir in the yo form preterite then would be dormí. I'd like you to do the odds here again. 1, 3, 5, 7, y 9. Do those on scratch paper or there in your workbook, and then we'll come back together, we'll check your answers and see how you did. Okay, I hope that went well for you. Let's take a look and see how you did. The first verb, of course, is dormí. I slept. Dormí. Número 3, we would change the verb pide to pidió. Número 5, me muero de hambre. I am dying of hunger. Morí. Me morí. I died of hunger. Número 7, we're changing the verb prefieren to prefirieron. Got that stem change, that E to I stem change in the ustedes or the ellos form. Número 9, sienten would become sintieron. Get that first letter of that stem change in the ustedes form. Hey, let me know if you missed any of those, and if you don't understand why you missed those, we need to get that worked out. So make sure that you ask questions about what you missed. And that's all I have for you in class today. So what did we do? We reviewed our homework over preterite conjugations. We reviewed 1 Corinthians 15:3b, talked a little bit more about Peru. Make sure you're watching that video in my playlist on the top 10 reasons to visit Peru. I think you'll enjoy that. We talked a little bit about food in Hispanic countries. We talked about the differences in some of the countries and a lot of the similarities as well. We reviewed our vowels, a, e, I, o, u. We reviewed our cognates, ATE English words changing to AR Spanish words and how to make that change. And then we talked about our IR preterite stem changers. And we reviewed how stem changers that end in IR in the present will get the first letter of that stem change in the ellos, ellas, ustedes, and the usted form, the third person form. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Que Dios les bendiga. I hope you had a great lesson, and let me know if you have any questions at all. Bye-bye.